Okay, so let's talk about something we use every single second of our waking lives. Something so fundamental, we almost never even think about it. Language. It's what I'm using right now to talk to you. And honestly, it's one of the most defining, incredible features of being human. Today, we're going to pull back that curtain.
No, really, just for a second. Stop and think about it. These vibrations are hitting your ears, and somehow, boom, your brain is instantly turning them into ideas, into meaning. How on earth does that happen? It feels so automatic, but underneath, it's one of the most complex things your brain will do all day.
To really get to the bottom of this, we have to look at it from three different angles. First, there's the biological hardware, the stuff in our bodies and brains. Then you've got the conceptual software in our minds that makes sense of it all. And finally, there's the cultural programming that gives us the specific language we actually speak. So let's start with the hardware. Right. Before any word can become a thought, it has to start as a physical sound. And that's where our very own unique anatomy comes into play. It's all about the machine that evolution built for us. So check this out. This is the incredible instrument we all have, built right in, our vocal tract. With the way our larynx, tongue, and lips are all set up, it's perfectly adapted to create this huge range of sounds. This is the physical starting block for every single word you've ever said. And from the throat, we move upstairs to the command center, the brain. Now meet the two absolute superstars of language. You've got Broca's area up here in the front, which is kind of like the production manager. It gets all the grammar and sounds ready to go. And then there's Wernicke's area in the back. That's the comprehension department. Its job is to figure out what all those incoming words actually mean.
Oh, we've all been there, right? That maddening feeling where you know the word, you can practically feel its shape, but you just can't quite grab it. Well, it turns out that little brain glitch reveals something amazing about how our internal dictionary is wired.
See, here's the clue. When a word is on the tip of your tongue, you usually remember something about it, right? Like maybe its first letter or how many syllables it has. And that's the proof. It shows our brain doesn't just toss words into one big folder. The meaning of a word is stored in one place, and the sound of that word is stored somewhere else. They're linked, for sure, but sometimes that connection just gets a little weak. And this just lays out the whole incredible process. When you read a single word out loud, it's like a 6-step relay race happening inside your skull. First, your visual cortex sees the letters. Then, the angular gyrus recognizes that shape as a word. Wernicke's area pulls up its meaning and sound. That info zips over to Broca's area, which gets the speech command ready. And finally, the motor cortex tells your mouth, okay, go. All of that in a split second. Wow. Okay, so we've got the physical hardware down. But a computer is just a box of metal without an operating system. So now let's look at how we get from simple electrical signals in the brain to abstract ideas in the mind. This is such a critical distinction to make. The brain, that's the physical organ, right? It's the network of neurons firing away. But the mind is this abstract world of consciousness, of meaning, of imagination that sort of emerges from all that firing. And language lives right at that magical intersection between the two. And this table just makes it crystal clear. The best analogy is a computer. Your brain is the hard drive. It physically stores all the data. But your mind? That's the operating system. It's the thing that takes all that raw data and actually does something with it, interprets it, runs the programs, and creates the experience you're having. The brain stores the letters D-O-G. The mind knows what a dog is and remembers how much you love them. And because of this brain-mind partnership, language becomes so much more than just a string of words. It becomes the very framework we use to organize our reality. It's the only reason we can even think about huge, abstract ideas like justice or freedom or the future, things you can't point to or touch, but that we can all understand and debate. So we have the hardware, we have the software. Now let's look at the special features of the program itself. What are the core design principles of human language that make it completely different from any other communication system on this planet? It sounds like a kid's question, but it gets to the absolute first rule of language. I mean, sure, some words imitate sounds like bang or splash, but the vast majority don't. Why do we call it a dog? Why a tree? Why a chair? The answer is a concept called arbitrariness. It just means there's nothing dog-like about the sound dog. There's no natural reason for it. We, as a group of speakers, just agreed. We made a social contract that those sounds would represent that furry animal.
The word is just a symbol, and its power comes entirely from our shared agreement. I am willing to bet you have never in your life heard that exact sentence before. And yet, you understood it instantly. You can picture that entire ridiculous scene in your head. How is that even possible? Well, it points to the second superpower of language.
It's called productivity, or you could call it creativity. What it means is, we don't just have a giant list of memorized sentences. Instead, we learn a limited set of words and a limited set of grammar rules. And with those building blocks, we can create and understand an infinite number of new ideas. It's an open, generative system.
Now, think about your dog for a second. Its bark is pretty effective, but it's always about what's happening right now. Danger is here, or I'm hungry now. Animal communication is stuck in the present. But human language, well, human language is a time machine. And this amazing feature is called displacement. It's our ability to talk about what happened on vacation last summer, or make plans for next year, or discuss what Julius Caesar did, or tell stories about dragons. Displacement is what frees us from the immediate moment, letting us learn from the past and build the future. And what's just fascinating is how every single one of us learns to use these incredible features. It doesn't matter if a baby's learning English or Swahili or Mandarin, they all go through these exact same stages in the same order. Babbling, then one word, then two words, then boom, full sentences. It's like a universal human blueprint. So this is really the bottom line. Our biology gives us the brain and this universal blueprint to learn a language. But the specific language we end up speaking, that's a gift from our culture. If you took a newborn from Sweden and raised them in Peru, they wouldn't magically speak Swedish, they'd speak Spanish. Language isn't in our genes. It's transmitted through human connection. Which brings us to our final and maybe most mind-bending question of all. If culture gives us our language and language helps us build our world, does the specific language you speak actually change the way you see reality itself?
Take a look at this quick example. In English, if you accidentally break a vase, you're most likely to say, "I broke the vase." The focus is on you as the one who did it. But in a language like Japanese, it's much more common to say something that basically means "the vase broke," which focuses on what happened to the vase and kind of leaves the agent out of it. It's the same event, but a totally different framing.
This idea is called linguistic relativity. Now, it doesn't mean that language traps you, but it does suggest that the patterns in your language can nudge you to pay attention to certain things over others. If your language is always asking, who did it? You might focus more on blame and agency. So the question I want to leave you with is a personal one. How is the language that you are using in your head right now shaping the world that you see?